sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, S-I-C-K, S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. CF Montreal Talk.
Here's the chance. is the chance. They've got the goal. Absolutely incredible. Cameron Porter delivers the goal to send Montreal Impact into the CONCACAF Champions League semi-final.
The sickest CF Montreal podcast. Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. Playground. Your premier gaming destination. Complete Striker. And Innov Sport.
Collaborer avec Innov Sport, une compagnie d'ici afin de dynamiser l'apprentissage et la pratique du sport pour tous et partout.
Les différents produits permettent de rester actif tout en développant sa confiance, son autonomie et sa technique. Des produits efficaces, progressifs et personnalisés avec le logo de votre école.
Innov Sport, pour tous et partout.
It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast, CF Montreal talk on this Monday afternoon. It's a couple of minutes past noon, and we are live. And without further ado, I bring in from Innov Sport, former Montreal Impact player, former pro soccer player, and of course, you'll see him on RDS, and you'll hear him everywhere and see him everywhere. He's so good that everyone wants a piece of him, and I am so lucky that he's able to make time for me as well. And there he is, Patrice Bernier. Comment ça va?
Hey, comment ça va, Tony? Hi, everybody. Ça va bien.
All right, good. I'm happy to hear it, Pat. And of course, we're not only going to talk about CF Montreal. I think over the next 30 minutes or so, we're also going to talk about Copa America, because the Canadian men's national team, of course, is in the Final Four with a big-time, very historic rendezvous with Lionel Messi and reigning World Cup champion Argentina tomorrow night at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And, of course, we're going to talk about Euro 2024, because once again, and now there are four: Spain, France, England, Netherlands. But without further ado, let's start with CF Montreal, who played host to the Vancouver Whitecaps on Saturday night. And Pat will bring up the starting 11 for CF Montreal. And there you have it: Sirois in goal, Alvarez at center back of a three-man center back with Campbell on his right and Sosa on his left. Once again, a reminder to everyone that Joel Waterman is with the Canadians men's national team as we speak at the Copa America. Saliba and Wanyama as CDMs. And a reminder that Piet and Choinière are with the Canadians men's national team as well. Lapalainen, a right wing back, Edwards, a left wing back, Lassiter and Yankov in behind Martinez, a 3-4-2-1 formation for Laurent Courtois' side. The available subs for the game were Breza, Corbo, Juan, who came in at the 66th for Lapalainen, Duke, who came in at the 61 for Wanyama, Opoku, who didn't come in at all, Ibrahim, who came in at halftime for Yankov, Vilsaint, who came in at the 75th minute for Campbell, Iliadis didn't play at all, and Kokaro came in at the 61st minute for Lassiter. So at the 61st minute, there were two changes, one at the 66, one at the 46, and one at the 75. All right, Pat, here's a team that went behind early on a goal by White, where I think a couple of Vancouver players caught a couple of Montreal players sleeping, and White showed you can't give this guy any space at all.
No, Brian White, the minute he arrived in Vancouver, he wasn't a great success in Red Bulls, but since then he's now the leading historical goal scorer in Vancouver Whitecaps history, and he showed it that he's grown. And his movement, he read the play. Ryan Gold was on the left side. He saw the space. He ran to that first post, sprinted there, deflected it, beat Jonathan Sirois. And yeah, I think the guys didn't expect. I can't say didn't expect. They should have expected Ryan Gold's pass, because you could see he was free and that open gap in the first post was there. And Brian White did a great job to be first. And what scorers like to do is find the areas to exploit, and he did it well and gave the lead to Vancouver at the time.
Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, but CF Montreal didn't come out the way I expected them to come out. It got better, of course, in the second half, where at one point when Ibrahim comes in at left wing and Vilsaint comes in at right wing, and you're playing with Coccaro and Martinez up top, it looked like they threw caution to the wind in the last 20 minutes of the game on Saturday and said, you know what, let's go for it, and went with a 4-2-4, which, all depending on you can say it's a different formation because Vilsaint and Ibrahim obviously had to track back quite a bit as well to cover the space, but it's not the first half. But I will tell you this that I expected or I liked, but I will tell you this. Once again, Alvarez caught my attention. I really liked what I saw from him. I reported, give or take, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that there were delegates of a team out of Mexico that were there looking at him for a couple of days, maybe a week. I don't know the timeline for sure. I don't even know if they're still here. I doubt it. I don't know where talks are. But I do know that after doing some digging, I can tell you that the team now is Monterrey. Monterrey out of Mexico. We're very interested in Alvarez going back a couple of weeks. I don't have an update on that, but you know what? If I'm them and he's been playing the way he's been playing over the past couple of weeks, I'd still be very interested, Pat. Very interested. I don't know why CF Montreal would want to sell him right now if they do, but if I'm Monterrey, I would still be very interested. And if I were other teams, I'd be very interested as well. I like what I'm seeing, Pat.
Yeah, me too. And I think I'm enjoying him and preferring him in the middle of the three because it seems when he's there, he has that innate sense to really be the guy who covers the other two. And if I'm correct, he saved 1 or 2 goals.
One right off the line, Pat. One right off the line.
So, clearly, what I guess we expected or the CF Montreal saw in him, he's slowly coming out of that, first year adaptation phase of MLS. And, I like his presence. He's very good on the ball. Like I said, in the middle, he seems to really understand to cover guys and pay attention to the other 2 center backs and trying to be the guy who's helping out, anticipating what could happen. And he's very young. Now, would the CF Montreal want to sell him? Yeah, he was brought in with a project that if the guy is there for a year or 2 and somebody comes in with the right bid, or at least the amount that CF Montreal feels is what they value, they can take out of and maybe hopefully invest in another young player. We got to expect that. Ismail Kone was not here very long. He left. Alistair Johnston wasn't very long. Left. Georgi Milovic, same thing. So that's part of their DNA now.
I hear you, but they got $3 million for Johnston. They got $6 million for Milovic, and they got $8 million for Kone. All I'm saying is you want to part ways with the player because that's your project. I mean, I don't really agree with it, but that's okay. That's up to them. But you better make sure that you're going to get at least 3 times your money here because this player here, whichever team is going to go get him, they'll hold on to him a couple of years. They'll flip him. Now, there's going to be, of course, a percentage that'll come back in further sales after that. But, man, I think I'd still hold on to this player for another year because I really like the way he's going. I think he can bring his value up even more. When you have a stock and the stock keeps on going up and keeps on going up, but you think it has the potential to go higher, you don't sell it. You only sell the stock if you don't think it's going to go higher.
At the end of the day, if there is an inquiry by, as you mentioned, Monterrey, then it's great. Now, if there are more people at the table, then the price goes up. And that's the reality of the negotiation factor. Great but like I mentioned, depends on how much they're willing to pay right now. Because if I'm correct, we mentioned it was about $1 million that they got Alvarez from out of there from the Mexican League. Now, you may say, you may put your benchmark, look, it's 4 or 5 million at least if I'm going to sell him. And like I said, then is a team willing to put that and maybe a sell-on clause? Because, if he plays somewhere else, he's only 2021.
Correct.
That means another 3-4 years. If you sell him now and he's worth 20 million, you get maybe another 2 million off the bat with a 10% discount clause. But the factor is, we don't forget, Joel Waterman will be coming back also at one point. But Alvarez is playing really well. And the thing also, you have to understand, right now he's hot, and he's getting hot. Next year, it could be a different story, and he could be playing okay, but not the same. So you have to balance out. Do I want to sell him now, and what value? If I look at Moise Bombito in Colorado, he's playing well. Colorado's winning. They're believing that they can go in the playoffs and maybe do something. So they probably put their price tag very high and saying, if he's going to leave, that we want $4 or $5 million, because we are willing to be able to keep him now, unless somebody really gives something that's higher than what we actually value.
I hear you. Okay, so look, as someone who has been critical of not only and I like Courtois very much, by the way, but it doesn't mean I can't criticize him. But I've said that to close out games, you need to put Wanyama in, and I said the same thing for Losada last year. And unfortunately, Wanyama didn't play a lot with Losada, and he's only in now because, of course, you'd have to think because Choinière and Piet, of course, are at the Copa America. But I think that time in his career, like he doesn't look like he has the legs to start.
Look. We've talked about him at the beginning of the year. There's realities that we don't see, or at least we're discovering now even more that, the way they want to play, the way they want their center midfielders to be, Victor maybe doesn't correspond to that and what he puts in his output during the training. Now, I still believe that he could have been used more, as you mentioned, to finish off games, because maybe he can't play in and out 90-minute games, but he can still give you a good 25, 30 minutes. You saw what he can do when he has the ball to turn, to cover, turn players, play the ball a bit forward.
Experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He can manage you games. Now, do you play him once in a 3-game week, and then after that he plays? I still believe he's got that added on value that other players don't have that experience.
Yeah.
And so, but will he be an out-and-out starter? We've seen that. I think he can play 1 game out of the week. But then when it's 3 games, they're going to manage him, or they feel that he can't give the output they want from those center midfielders, what Choinière can do, what Saliba can do, or Samuel Piet can do, or even Bryce Duke that they put ahead of him right now.
Yeah, look, I think Courtois made some right moves in the second half, putting in some fresh legs like Rouen. I think really gave the team a shot in the arm, and he gave them some extra juice. Basically, fielding a team that converted to a 4-2-4 in the final 20 minutes of the game was a big reason why they were able to get that equalizing goal as well. Having said that, I'm not crazy about the combination between Coccaro and Martinez up top. I know they didn't start the game together, of course. One started and the other one came in the second half, but it doesn't seem to me that it's worked. You know how high I am on Vilsaint and his potential, but I out of all the positions he's played this year, the one where he came in on the weekend is the one where I think he's least effective.
Yeah, I'm going to give Courtois that, as you mentioned, he played 4-2-4 at the end, so he went for the game. So there's certain games we all said, why didn't he just bring something else? And he did in that game. So looking at least he's evolving in terms of his options and be willing to put 4 forwards on the field to win the game, which at least they came out of it. We all know. I saw Vilsaint. You know him from quite well. I believe he's more of a second type striker than the main guy. And now is find the right pieces that gel together, because now you have everybody. Opoku's healthy. Vilsaint is healthy. Coccaro is healthy. Martinez is healthy. And Ibrahim is probably, for me right now, the main guy that you can put up front, because he still manages to be dangerous. He scored goals. So now who are the two? You probably put Martinez for sure. Now, who do you put next to? And Coccaro, whatever situation happened in training, he probably diminished in terms of the coach, Laurent Courtois, doesn't really feel like right now I can start him and he's going to give me that great value.
I'm a little bit confused, okay? And now you're the voice of reason, so I need you to clarify things for me, because sometimes when I get confused, I get stuck in a daze and I can't get out of it, okay? We know what the club philosophy is that they want to give young players an opportunity so that they can play them, they can build up their value, and they can sell them because, A, the club makes money, and B, you can't hold players back.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. They're playing young players. They're playing Sirois in goal. They're playing Saliba at CDM, okay? A year ago, before the move, they had played Kone. Okay. So, but there's two young players. One never plays, and I'm going to get to him in a minute. And that, of course, is Rida Zouhir. And one, over the last couple of weeks here, it seems like at one point he came in at the 64th a week ago. 1 week later, he comes in at the 75. If your philosophy is to play young players, and you've been doing it, like I said, with Kone and like Sirois and Alvarez and Saliba, why doesn't the rule apply to Vilsaint?
I'll go back to when we had Ali. I don't think they doubt Vilsaint's talent. I think right now they doubt, can he play game in, game out and not get injured? So they're more in terms of management for him. And let's go back, because people forget, Ismael Kone was on the bench for 8 to 9 games that same year he got sold. Why? Because he wasn't confirming in training all the time. Even though the philosophy is to play young players, they still have to convince the coach that they can be on the field. Ismael Kone lived the same situation as we're going to talk about Rida Zouhir, as Vilsaint, even Nathan Saliba. All of them at one point, Mathieu Choignard, they have to convince the guy who takes the decisions, which is the coach. Now, Vilsaint, the coach mentioned his talent. We can see he's got it. But we are like at the 60th minute, we have to think, can he go all the way?
Well, Nathan Saliba has received opportunities that a guy like Rida Zouhir never received.
Before Nathan Saliba, they were like, remember last year? He started the first few games and then he disappeared for a while. He only came playing again in League's Cup, because that's where he started taking away Wanyama's time. But they weren't convinced that he had passed the hump. So for Vilsaint, I don't even think it's talent. I think they want to see, can he stay healthy? We mentioned it here.
I hear you.
Every time he plays well, and for other reasons, it's not always been injured that he's not.
Yeah.
Every time he's played well, we're like, okay, next game. He plays a second game, not bad. Then he's not seen for 3-4 weeks because he's usually something injured or something happens that he's out of the loop. And so
I hear you.
For a coach, I'm specific talking about Vilsaint because Rida Zouhir is another case.
Yeah.
I think they believe in his talent. Now
I would
can
hope
you
so.
trust that you're going to be there every weekend and I can put you in or at least start you, and then knowing that I've got you to the rest of the season. That's where he has to convince.
That's fine. I buy everything you just told me, but to come in at the 64th 1 week ago and 1 week later to come in at the 75th, things are not getting better. They're getting worse in that respect. Okay.
Oh, no, that's a decision where I can say what Laurent Courtois goes in his mind as who comes in, goes out. I'm saying
anyway, you know what? They got a point, and the East is so mediocre, pardon me, that you know what? In the end, who knows? They might even get in. They're still in the picture. Because we'll show the standings. Look, let's take a look at the standings. Here we go. And these are teams that, I don't think Charlotte's within distance at 32 points, but clearly Orlando is at 27 in the 7th spot, Nashville at 26 in the 8th spot, Toronto at 24 in the 9th spot, 8th and 9th would play a play-in, of course. Atlanta is in 10th, and the CF Montreal will host Atlanta on Saturday night here in Montreal. CF Montreal's in 11th with 1 point behind Atlanta. By the way, this game versus Atlanta ends up being a huge game, right? A huge game versus Atlanta, because with a result on Saturday, and barring, we'll see what happens with Toronto, that CF Montreal could end up entering that top 9. Let's go to Rida Zouhir. I put something out there on X, formerly known as Twitter, yesterday. Breaking: CF Montreal's Rida Zouhir has asked for a trade or transfer. Last year, the 20-year-old midfielder was loaned to San Antonio of the USL, where he had 8 goals, 4 assists, and was a USL Young Player of the Year finalist. This year with CF Montreal and MLS, he's only played 171 minutes, 1 start, 6 subs. I also went on to mention that he's been training with the reserves in the last week after asking to be moved, and he was most likely going to play yesterday versus MRO in Ligue 1 Quebec, which he did, by the way. Okay, so now, This was a player that was supposed to be in line with the philosophy. Bring him up from the academy, bring him onto the first team. He was a very young player when he joined. Olivier Renard liked him a lot. He's a big-time shot, major league shot. Unfortunately, there have been some ups and downs, but you know what? Last year, they asked him if he could be loaned out. He accepted. I think they had to extend, his option year by a year or so, and they did. I think his year is up at the end of the year. He has not been able to get in the playing time. And Pat, I have to ask you why. Why is this guy not playing more? And by the way, to everyone telling me on social media he's no good, that's bullshit. This kid is good.
No,
this kid can play, and this kid outperforms other players in practice.
Now, I know Rida Zouhir very well, so it's not a question of his talent. Rida, you have to ask your question. He was brought in with Thierry Henry, but that was a short spell with Fred Nancy, Losada, and now Laurent Courtois. And you did not convince them enough to be able to play. Jules Anthony Vilsain convinced Laurent Courtois to play. Nathan Saliba convinced Losada to play. Now, Rida, and I say this, it's not a question of talent, because people, when they say he's not that good, it's not just because you don't play here. You might go somewhere else and play. Depends on the coach, depends on what they see in you, and depends on who's in front of you. And let's be clear. We said at the beginning of the year, if I had to put him in the hierarchy of players, there was Wanyama, Piet, Chouanière, Nathan Saliba was ahead of him because of last season, and then came Rida Zouhir. And so now every opportunity...
Because of last season, yes, but you realize that Nathan Saliba, who, by the way, I've said this before, he was on that reserve team a couple of years ago, and in my opinion, he was the best player on that team, and Nathan Saliba is a good player. Is he as good as a player who's received the thousands and thousands and thousands of minutes in the last 2 years, who's been the golden child of the club for the last couple of years, to the point where they gave him the captain's armband on 3 or 4 occasions? Yeah. I don't know. I'm still looking for his first goal. I get it. It's not his position to score a 6.
But don't compare them all in terms of the profiles. But like we mentioned, and everybody has mentioned this, and I can tell you for guarantee, 3 years ago, if it's not for COVID, Nathan Saliba plays ahead of Ismail Kone. It was a guarantee. It was just a question that he couldn't be in the group, so he couldn't travel. He went with the reserve team.
Yes, but Pat. Nathan Saliba was never better than Ismail Kone. I don't care what anyone at CF Montreal thinks. He was never better, ever.
Stop
never
questioning if talent, who's better. He was ahead, and they were going to give him minutes to play. Before Ismail Kone. Now we're comparing how he's better with the ball, he scores. No, it's about, can the coach trust you to play now? And
I repeat. Let me please. Repeat. I think he's a very good player. He would play on my team. I just think he gets a little bit more leash than everyone else. I think he gets a little bit more minutes. Sometimes I don't, quite understand it. He's a good player. He would play on my team, but he's given more, I find, sooner than the rest. Look, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, but
they were all signed the same year.
Rida Zouhir going to the USL last year and picking up 8 goals and 4 assists the way he did, not easy, eh?
Yes, I'm not saying, as I mentioned, we're not talking about their talent here.
Yeah.
There's other players that factor. Most people do not know Rida Zouhir. Rida has to have management, emotional management, meaning he knows he's good. And when things don't go well, and which this doesn't happen just to Rida Zouhir, it happens to tons of players.
You're right.
I can play. I don't get a chance to play. Sometimes that irritates me, and then it affects. And you can say, yes, he's training, and everybody tells you. Ask every player, how's it going in training? They're all going to say, oh, I'm training very well. But if I ask the coaching staff, yeah, the other day, yes, this and that. Now, you have to be trustworthy. That's the main question of if you play at the highest level. Every of these guys all have talent. But if you're not trustworthy to the coach, that what I see in training, you can do in games. That's why I said sometimes it's good when you go somewhere else, because they don't know you. You go there, you have a fresh new lease, and like he did in San Antonio. And I remember you said he accepted, but let's not forget, they asked him once before he accepted to go, and he did not want to go.
Yes. Well, because he believed that he had what it took to be on this team and to play. Now, look, I'm not going to look. I've known Rida for a long time. Okay, in respect that not we don't talk to each other, but he played against my son at a very young age, so I seen him when he broke out with a Hunsick and he was playing on with Thomas Geraldo, and like it was a good team. They had some good players, and Elie Fontaine-Belfort was on that team. List goes on and on. He has a certain character.
Yes.
It doesn't please coaches all the time, but I believe it's part of what makes him who he is.
Yes, but the problem for Rida, it's not the character, because Rida, if you talk about all three of them, somebody who goes on the field and says, I can make the winning goal, I will make the winning goal. He believes probably higher than all of them, and he can do it. And I've seen it do it with the under 21s at the time. Now, your emotional management comes when you're not picked. Things happen. Other players, they go through it, they wait for the opportunity, and some, they do things that put you even lower in the list because you react and then it goes, oh.
And you get punished.
Yes, because they say, why are you reacting while the others aren't? And I don't want to say that that's his character trait. That's Rida Zouhir believes strongly about himself, and it shows when he went to San Antonio. I'm just saying sometimes you may need to be somewhere else for it to come out because there's people ahead of you, and as much as you can deal with it, and I'm going to tell you, a lot of parents from all these kids that sign pro or are about to sign pro, when they say the club does not owe you anything.
No, and I understand that, but you know what?
If he leaves, I would be sad because I do know what he's capable of doing. I've seen it. You've seen it. Now,
I'm convinced he's an MLS player. I'm convinced he's an MLS player, and if he's going to play in the MLS, I would like for him to play for his hometown team. So
yes, I would love that too. But
I don't think he's perfect, and I'm sure he's made some mistakes along the way.
That's for sure.
But when people say there was no signs of an attitude problem in San Antonio last year when they were playing him. You didn't hear about an attitude when he was playing. You hear about an attitude when he doesn't play. Emotional management.
No, but like I said, the difference is when you're here. We spoke about this with Ali, with all of them that come here, and even when I played there, when you play in your hometown, your parents, your friends, and everybody else, and they raise you even higher. And when things don't do well, you have to be able to manage that you're not quite there yet. We know you're talented enough to be there, and that's something. That's why I say sometimes it's best for you to be not in Montreal so that you can show without the outside distractions or the outside. It's not the belief of the player. It's just, you're better than him. We know you should be playing. It just makes you even more irritated.
Pat,
sometimes
if we can,
to not be here.
In a couple of minutes, a historic moment in Canadian soccer history the other night when, of course, Canada was able to win their game in penalty shootouts. It was amazing. And now another historic moment. This is probably going to be one of the most watched soccer games in the history of Canadian television, as the Canadiens men's national team will play versus Lionel Messi's reigning World Cup champion Argentina in the semifinals of the Copa America tomorrow night in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. It's an 8 p.m. start. A friend of mine asked me yesterday if Canada can shock the world. And I told him this: everyone knows that Argentina has more experience in big games and Canada lacks experience, and they could probably make a mistake and Argentina can make them pay. But if I've ever believed that Canada can pull off an upset, I think it's now, Pat. I think Messi is hurting. Once again, Argentina's favorite to win. Everyone knows that. Jesse Marsh himself said we might play our best game and still lose, but we're going to go for it. I feel good about this game tomorrow night. Like what I'm saying is an upset wouldn't shock me.
No, I think Canada can believe that they should believe that they can beat Argentina. The last game of Argentina tells you that they were destabilized by Ecuador, who has similar traits as what Canada offers on the field.
Yeah.
Now, Canada, if they want to win the game, they got to score on their chances because they missed too many of these chances.
You're right.
In a game like that.
You're right.
And let's not forget the first game Canada plays against Argentina. If they scored those 1 or 2 chances, they might be leading against Argentina. Doesn't mean they would have won the game.
Yeah.
They would have put them in the ropes, and then Argentina would have to accelerate. So I do believe Canada can have opportunities to beat the game. Now, I believe experience comes into that factor.
I hear you.
But Canada should believe, and if I was Jesse Marsh, guys, nobody expects us to win. Just go out there and play, and then play the best game you can, and you could shock the world. It is possible. It's a one game, one off. So why not?
Pat Bernier, France versus Spain. Who wins?
For me, Spain.
England versus Netherlands. Who wins?
England.
Oh, Spain, England. That would be a very nice final. Mind you, I got to tell you, I like the 4 teams that are left. I think we're going to have a real good semifinals. I don't think we're seeing the kind of soccer that we used to see. Unfortunately, the role of the number 10, Pat, this is another story for another show, by the way. But the Badjos, the Zolas, the Zidans, the Ronaldinhos, the Maradonas, we don't see it anymore.
Who would you be giving the best player of the tournament right now? We can't even really say. Nobody stood out by himself. The players that stand out anymore.
I will tell you this. If England wins the Euro, Jude Bellingham's going to win.
Yes, he will win it, but is he
Ballon d'Or.
outstanding? Is he really making England, except for the volley, the bicycle kick?
No.
Are you saying, everything that happens is because of
No
Bellingham?
stand up. I think it all depends on who's going to win, because if Netherlands wins, I'll like Cody Gakpo's chances at that point, and we'll have to wait and see. Spain's got some players in the midfield. Boy, oh boy, they can play. I love the way they play soccer.
And
Rodri's amazing, and Williams on the left, and Lamine Yamal on the right. Man, I love the way that team, that country, that nation, they play the best soccer in the world, in my opinion, with all due respect to everyone else, of course. Pat Bernier, merci beaucoup. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks,
Sick
Tony.
Pod, CF Montreal.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Pat. Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, CF Montreal Talk on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.